closed its investigation, saying it couldn't find a, quote, smoking gun, in part because some people were afraid to talk for fear of retribution. But an FBI agent wrote that the activities of the sheriff's office reflect a cavalier disregard for the citizens of Meeker County. Those are strong words, and that's why I've spent the last 8 months digging into this, reading through nearly 2,000 pages of documents some the FBI may not have seen, trying to figure out what's going on inside the Meeker County line. The day before this past Thanksgiving, a troubled Iraqi war vet,
he is armed with a handgun, and he did have it.
Headed east out of Candy-Ojai County.
He's in a black 2010 Chevy Malibu.
24-year-old Ben Norlin's wife called 911, claiming he'd broken out her car window and headed for the Meeker County line.
We do have...
where his father is Sheriff Jeff Norlin. Candy-Ojai County wanted to warn sheriff's deputies in Meeker County.
He is armed with a handgun, and he did have it.
And police officers in Litchfield, the county seat, that a man considered armed and potentially dangerous might be on his way.
Guy was driving with a gun.
That was what the information at hand was, correct.
But the Litchfield police chief believes that because the sheriff's son was involved, things got handled differently.
So it was an officer safety issue. I'm guessing the sensitivity of the nature of the officer's family. They didn't want to go over the radio.
What do you mean the officer's family?
The sheriff's family.
Leaving officers
He'll probably head to Meeker County.
potentially at risk.
I believe he lives over there.
The Fox 9 investigators studied Meeker and Candy-Ojai County dispatch logs and phone records.
Meeker County Sheriff's Office.
Hi, it's Ashley in Candy-Ojai. How are you?
Hi, Ashley. Good.
Candy-Ojai first told Meeker County dispatchers about Ben Norlin at 2:06. They did it by phone.
They, gonna need to put on ATL for a vehicle, possibly headed to Litchfield.
Records show 16 minutes lapsed between the time Candy-Ojai warned Meeker County that Ben Norlin was upset and armed with a gun and that he might be headed their way, and the time dispatchers put out an alert to all units, including Litchfield police officers, on their in-squad computers. So what happened in those 16 minutes?
I'm not going to put it on the air.
Well, a dispatcher immediately called Chief Sheriff's Deputy
Brad, it's Paul.
Brad Lindgren.
Just got a call from Candy-Ojai County, and they want us to put on attempt to locate Ben Norlin. Apparently he was in some type of domestic with his wife. He pulled a handgun out.
There's a reason the dispatcher made that call. The department has a policy. Anytime an employee's family member is involved in a call, the sheriff or chief deputy must be notified.
Doesn't that policy just invite problems with conflicts of interest? It could.
I really don't want to put this on the air. Can we just do it on the MDTs? Or no, I'll give you a call back in 2 minutes. You want to get a hold of Jeff? Or I'll give you a call back in 2 minutes. Okay, thanks.
Cell phone records show a number of calls back and forth between the chief deputy and the sheriff. The alert still has not been put out to deputies and officers. Ben Norlin is heading their way. Eventually, the deputy chief tells the dispatcher to put out a warning over the in-squad computers.
If we can't keep it off the radio.
That happens at 2:26.
Okay, I talked to Brad. He talked to Jeff. They didn't want it aired, and I didn't start a call yet. But
the problem
122, I'll have to give him a call. He doesn't have an MDT.
that not every officer has a computer, and some don't get the message. So dispatchers have to call every deputy and officer one by one. It takes them 36 minutes to do
If
this.
it's inappropriate, then that needs to be addressed.
Then the county made no public record of the whole incident.
We didn't start a call for service. I don't think we want one.
we don't do one.
We're not going to do on-the-spot, on-camera interviews.
Deputy Chief Brad Lindgren didn't want to talk about it last November. Later, in writing, Lindgren said there was nothing unusual about how the call was handled. Sheriff Norlin wouldn't go on camera either. He wrote, "This office has never given any member of my family preferential treatment." Candy-Ojai County officers caught up with Ben Norlin just shy of the Meeker County line. He told a deputy he was unemployed, depressed, and agreed he needed help. He left the gun in the front seat and surrendered. No charges were filed. Safe ending to a sad story, except the Fox 9 investigators discovered there have been concerns about the county allegedly cutting the sheriff's kids slack for years. Those concerns were just a small part of the FBI investigation back in 2006 and 2007. Agents interviewed County Attorney Stephanie Beckman at the time.
Do you recall telling the FBI that the Meeker County Sheriff's Office had routinely done things that were unethical at best and quite likely criminal in nature?
I don't recall saying it. I'm sure that if it's something that you have, it happened.
Back when the FBI was in town, Jeff Norlin was not yet sheriff. He was the chief sheriff's deputy. You are listening to the voice of a drug suspect.
Did you owe them money, or?
She was arrested in Litchfield back in 2006 for possession of meth.
How much money?
She sounds terrified.
He was looking for guns to shoot you.
Police found a gun in her house. She says she got it because she owed Ben Norlin money and he'd threatened her.
His dad's a sheriff?
And that, she says,
For this sheriff's office?
is why she can't report the threat.
Call the cops on what? His daddy? His daddy's going to be the one that comes to the door?
According to FBI documents, the woman who was convicted eventually told the detective that Sheriff Norlin took Ben to Canada when he thought the drug task force was getting too close.
An informant says you took your son out of the area because the drug task force was getting too close. Is that true?
In a written statement, Sheriff Norlin said he has never committed professional misconduct and maintains the highest professional standards in law enforcement. The FBI report says she also told the detective Ben Norlin bragged his dad tipped him off before 2 drug raids, one in Litchfield and one north of the city. But an outside prosecutor who reviewed the FBI file said there is no evidence to support the allegations. Then Deputy Chief Norlin deliberately interfered with ongoing drug investigations other than the allegations themselves. But consider what happened.
Ben Norlin came into my aunt's house, sat down on a chair in my bedroom, and pulled meth out of his pocket.
When this woman claimed Ben Norlin brought meth into the Litchfield house where she was living.
Because he was putting it in separate little baggies.
When the woman's aunt came home.
And they said, Norlin, I said, aren't you the cop's son, the deputy's son? Yeah. I said, so do I need to call the police here? Nope, I promise I'll take it down to the cop shop. I'll take this meth down to the cop shop. I'll take care of it.
She called then Sheriff Mike Herman anyway and left a message with some details.
And I see 8-ball of meth on the table, and I see a guy in fatigues. And so I go over there, I said, what's going on here? And he goes, I'm just trying to... So then he put it back, swiped it, and put it back into a cigarette package.
The Fox 9 investigators obtained these reports on the incident. According to the county attorney, it appears the FBI never saw them. They show that Sheriff Herman assigned an investigator from his own county, but even before that happened, someone tipped off Ben's dad, the chief deputy, and the chief deputy then tipped off his son.
I'm sure you talked to your dad about this.
This is the Meeker County investigators' interview with Ben Norlin.
When did you talk to him about it?
He called me home. He said it was an emergency. I hurried home because I didn't know what it was all about.
That was today and earlier?
Yeah.
And Ben Norlin's dad, the chief deputy...
I haven't heard the message either. I don't know.
...appears to have given his suspect son...
My dad's trying to figure out what's going on.
...a fair amount of detail.
My dad was saying 8-ball and stuff like this, and...
Well, that's what this gal said on the phone.
Sheriff Norlin answered our written questions, saying, I have never intervened in any law enforcement investigation of any member of my family. I never will. We wanted to ask then Sheriff Herman whether he had tipped off the deputy chief.
I really don't want to be rude.
I know, but were you...
Thank you. I just don't want to be rude.
But the former sheriff wouldn't answer any of our questions. A summary of the FBI investigation written by the outside prosecutor said both Herman and Norlin denied interfering with drug investigations and cases involving Norlin's family.
It was a bad situation.
So how did this incident end?
I had no idea I was going over to a house with drugs in it.
Ben denied the drugs were his.
You're not using it all, are you?
No.
The investigator closed the case, saying the drugs were gone and the statements of other witnesses conflicted.
Give me a second.
The Meeker County prosecutor says it was never passed on to her office for review.
Would you be concerned about that?